All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to No Final Bell. I do apologize in advance if our voice is a little hoarse because of the 2 nights that we were in Scotiabank
Yeah,
Arena. It was
we are
one,
literally like we just got back about an hour or so ago.
yeah, as we're
So
recording on the Monday, uploading on Wednesday. Last night was Forbidden Door. Of course, we had Collision beforehand. We're not talking about Collision. We're just going to be
although
talking
we're just
about,
gonna talk about our experience with it,
yeah, honestly,
it was a little hard to see being on the floor,
yeah, it was.
admittedly.
It was.
Um, for what it's worth though, and like where we were, like it was a nice view, but for that kind of thing, it's better to be like a lot closer or more so like in a place where there's not a lot of like people that are much taller than you will actually like tower over you,
Yeah, I was going to
because that
say.
is kind of what happened.
The best part of I guess anything seating wise was being in the 300s better than being on the floor, and that's sad to say, but
Yeah,
it's the
I mean,
truth. I mean, tickets for both are roughly around the same. Collision floor was about the same as it was for like getting 300s for Forbidden Door,
yeah,
which I mean it seems weird, but yeah, I
it does.
mean,
It is a little weird, but also as evidenced by my shirt, I did get this. Uh, also, I
I was
have
gonna
a
say we could have been twins, but I wore mine last
yesterday.
night.
Yeah. Um. Also, while we were there, we have evidence now, or at least I do. I don't remember if you ended up getting the shirt also. But I have evidence that I was there for Forbidden Door. I bought a shirt,
I know I didn't buy the shirt. I bought a beanie and
and
whatnot.
I was very conflicted of whether or not I wanted to get that shirt or another shirt that said Bullet Club Canada, and I
Hmm.
was like, I kind of want like proof that I was at Forbidden Door. So I ended up getting that shirt because it's like at least with Bullet Club Canada, it's like yeah, like cool, like they were there, but
Right. No, being on the floor for Collision was good. I tell you what, Collision is really starting off at,
well, here's the thing
great.
too.
I mean, Dynamite is still going to be Dynamite, and
It's
it's
still
going
gonna
to
be
be
yeah,
everybody's,
but
go-to, but Collision is really going off
oh yeah,
the.
it's definitely proving to be, at least for what it's worth right now, it's definitely proving to be the better show. Um, so and with that, we did also learn who Sting and Darby's partner was going to be, and we'll mention that in
Mm,
the Forbidden Door results and everything. But
right.
before they had Collision, they did have, excuse me, they did have Ring of Honor tapings, which for what they weren't like the starting matches were kind of like eh, but then once they started rolling along, the matches actually got like, and who ended up coming out and like who was announced and had matches. That I tell you what, whenever those episodes of Ring of Honor come out, I might talk about them, depending, maybe. Um,
Well, it's going to be coming out this Thursday.
I don't know about that, because I believe they're still rolling through the Orlando tapings from the third and the fourth, maybe.
Um,
So
who
it
knows?
might span out in like the next couple of weeks, but regardless, uh, I guess you could say it was kind of like a precursor from for those ROH tapings of like who showed up, because I was not expecting it at all. Next, because like they were just rolling through the matches. Next thing you know, for the should no, you know what? I'll save that for when that episode comes out so that I can talk about it, because I'm probably gonna skip Impact for that week and just strictly talk about Ring of Honor when those tapings come out. So, but that's why I say it's kind of a precursor to what we saw in the Zero Hour. So,
Right. Yeah, Sarah Hour, we're gonna talk about that right now
well,
as
before we get there, I'm sorry, but before we get there, like literally a half hour or like an hour or so before the show, and even before ticket gates opened, um, unfortunately, news broke out that Adam Cole had suffered an illness, and therefore his match against Filthy Tom Lawler was outright canceled. I was very devastated, by the way, because I had brought an Adam Cole shirt specifically for Forbidden Door to wear, only to find out that he wasn't on the card because of illness. So that's a little disappointing. And because of that, for the live crowd before the Zero Hour, Filthy Tom Lawler ended up taking on Serpentico. So at least they did have something for Tom Lawler, but it's a very crappy situation. Um, so just wanted to get that out there. Now we can go on to the Zero Hour and give our thoughts.
yeah, I mean, we this first match of the Zero Hour was probably the better one of all the matches on the Zero Hour itself. Um, the Mogul Embassy facing off against Chaos and El Desperado. Um, I still find it hilarious in this match. And if if you haven't watched Zero or haven't watched Forbidden Door, definitely go watch it on YouTube and Bleacher Report or Fight if you're international.
Yeah.
But I kind of find it funny that like El Desperado was still beating the crap out of people, and they're about ready to like do their whole like
Oh yeah.
they're gonna
He,
hug, and then Rocky Romero had to kind of like, hey man, you
he,
gotta just stay in the middle here. We're doing our thing, but with hugging each other, gotta give the people what they want. So he positions him into the middle of the ring, gets the hug, good old you got to give the people what they want um voice. So ultimately itself, I mean, tell you what, Mogul Embassy was really kicking their living crap out of Chaos and El Desperado. This whole entire not really the whole entire match. I mean, Chaos and El Desperado was trying as much as they could to get the upper hand in this match. Chucky T, Rocky Romero, and Trent. I was kind of disappointed that we didn't see a Trent Spear in this match at all. I was shocked. But I tell you what, Chucky T and Trent are definitely some great competitors, as well as Rocky Romero. Mogul Embassy, Brian Cage, it's just a beast of a man, I tell you.
he's a machine.
Um, Swerve Strickland, we got to see him twice. I tell you what, that match against
That match against
Tanahashi
Tanahashi was
was pretty
amazing.
good. Um, but ultimately, the best match probably of Collision was the 8-man tag team match, and
I don't know, man. I kind of think Andrade and Brody King had a really good match.
yeah, there it was a pretty good match. But ultimately, for this match, the Mogul Embassy do beat Chaos and El Desperado. As much as you would love to see, Chaos and El Desperado get the victory here, unfortunately they don't. Um, El Desperado used to be in Suzuki Goon, but unfortunately Suzuki Goon
Suzuki Gun is no more.
is no longer.
So it's safe to say now, in a way, everybody from Suzuki Gun, besides the obvious, like, you know, ones, are all good guys now, kind of. Uh, like I said, except for the obvious ones, which uh, I guess really the only real like bad guy that still is one from Suzuki-gun is Lance Archer.
Oh
So,
yeah.
which he'll
um,
always be, you know.
right. So next match of the Zero Hour is it is a
The
quarterfinal match in the Owen Hart Women's Tournament as Athena faces off the ROH Women's World Champion Athena facing off against Billy Starks, who is still the youngest competitor in AEW slash ROH.
she's
Um,
only 18.
yeah, she just
She just
graduated
graduated high
high
school.
school. Athena is going to be still facing off on some fines as
Oh yeah, she was putting poor Mike Posey through the ringer.
yeah, she was. I mean, I thought
I
Athena
still
was
call him
gonna.
Mike Poser, but you know.
I thought Athena was gonna, really um give Mike Posey a hell of a running when he got it only to 1-2, and she's like, "How is that two? That should be three," type of thing. But
She
Billy
was getting
Starks,
all up in his
honestly,
grill.
even though she's very young, still probably very young, new to the game as a professional wrestler. She definitely brought it against Athena, trying as much as she could to get the one up on Athena. But I hate to say it, you can definitely tell that experience outweighs, you know, youth youthfulness, I should say, because Billy Starks might be the younger one, but Athena has a lot more experience in the
Yeah,
ring. You can definitely see it here in this match. Athena is just depending, it doesn't matter if she's Ember Moon in WWE or Athena, in Indies and also AEW slash ROH, but tell you what, she gets the one up and she's gonna advance in the semifinals of the Owen Hart tournament. Um,
I feel
but
like she's gonna go far in the tournament, but
she
not like
she
far enough.
might she could very well be the one that takes on Sky Blue, and I still think that Sky Blue. Oh yeah, I was gonna say. I said in the crowd, it's like, oh look, Athena's touching the title. She's warming it up for Sky Blue.
Yeah,
um, as much as it would be nice to see Athena, personally, what I would love for them to do more with this tournament is whoever wins gets like a future like world title opportunity. Whoever wins it, like, because you gotta do more out of this tournament. And honestly, I mean, I get Britt Baker won it last year. She's gonna be in it this year. She's going up against Ruby Soho later tonight. Um, but personally, I think even though Britt Baker and Adam Cole won it last year, Adam Cole really, I get it. He was plagued with injury, so he couldn't really do a whole lot. I think that's the main reason
yeah.
why he didn't really. But Britt Baker did a little bit more. Anna Cole, I get it, was hurt, and you didn't know if he was ever going to come back afterwards. That's probably why we said that well, nothing had really happened with Adam Cole. Really
Yeah.
happened with Britt Baker. So I think ultimately, yes, this tournament is like whoever wins kind of gets that thing. But personally, with everything that's going on with Sky Blue, I think that she's again, we stated the last show, we're gonna state it again. I really do think that this is a tournament that is meant for her to win, as she's going up the ranks. I
She's
would
moving up in
love,
AEW anyways,
I would
and
love to
even
see her go after this title again. I get it that she did and lost,
mhm.
but if she wins this tournament, I think it's a stepping stone to possibly her either dethroning Tony Storm, but ultimately, I want to know. I get it. Maybe Thunder Rosa isn't super 100% clear, but like, what is going on with her? You saw her
Yeah.
in Tony's office. Where is she? This would have been a prime opportunity for her to be like a surprise person in a tournament, like say like somebody against question mark, and then throwing her into the tournament and then possibly
Well,
having
yeah,
her
because
winning it.
I think last year they did that for the men's side, and that was where he's
Samoa
now
Joe.
Johnny TV, but Johnny Elite. That was how when he ended up like I guess in a way debuting for the company, but like not really.
Right. So yeah, next match, we got El Phantasmo and Stu Grayson.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's so weird to see Stu Grayson with the Righteous, and I tell you what, their song is a pretty much is a banger, man.
yeah.
Um,
You know, there's a reason why you see Vincent all the time doing the.
but ultimately, it's kind of weird to see Stu Grayson no longer with um the
Dark
Dark
Order.
Order. He's
Yeah,
kind of on his own with the Righteous. Well, not really on his own. I feel like there's so much wasted opportunity with Stu Grayson. He could have been more of something. I mean, I think he's got good size and good build. Actually, if there's any disappointment, I think it's Johnny Hungy and Alex Reynolds. They could have done so much more with those two. And now you're
yeah,
relegating them to developmental in our way. It's just so sad. It really
yeah.
is. Um, and the reason I say that for ROH is if you ever go to a live show, especially recently, now that they got rid of Dark and Dark Elevation and have Collision and
Dynamite and
Rampage.
Rampage
Rampage is kind of like not really like kind of like the step up, like
from
from
Ring of
our
Honor.
from Ring of Honor. Ring of
Yeah,
Honor is kind
Ring
of
of
like a
Honor
new
in this. Yeah, at this
new
point is
development
new.
too,
Is like what would have been, or I should say, what used to be, Dark and Dark
which is
Elevation.
so sad because you had such an opportunity with ROH and making it something again, and now it's like you're kind of making it a joke. I get it, it's always gonna have that indie feel,
Yeah,
and it even did back when it first,
yeah,
was around and
yeah.
stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, but you still had banger of matches.
Well, not to mention, look at
I
the roster of people that have come up through Ring of Honor. I mean, that was also kind of what made it feel special.
Right, but I mean, I get the reasoning behind for Tony Khan, and honestly, I like it because then you got your you got your developmental in ROH now. Then you have Rampages like the one up, and then if you can really showcase some stuff on Rampage, then you can either end up on Dynamite or Collision. I mean,
Hmm.
for instance, look at Hook. He was a mainstay on Rampage for the longest time, and
Yeah.
now he's primarily on Dynamite.
Yep.
Still as your FTW champion. Of course, we'll
Yep.
talk about um, Hook later on when we get into the main show. But ultimately, um, El Phantasmo is one hell of a guy, one hell of a Opponent. I think he just mopped the floor with Stu Grayson. There's not really much to talk about in this
Yeah.
match. I mean, Stu did try as much as he could to really like showcase his skill, but he got mopped. Like that he just got thrown all over by El Phantasmo. The moves that El Phantasmo was doing, I tell you, it was actually cool because we inadvertently got to see him outside while we were waiting.
Yeah.
He bought something, and people we were
Well,
kind
I
of
mean,
like,
here's the
oh, it's
thing
his
too.
wrestling gear.
Before he even like went to like get his wrestling gear and everything, like people in a way were like kind of bombarding him for pictures. I mean, not not like too many people at once, but he had a good amount of people that were like coming up and asking him for like pictures and everything. You could definitely tell he started getting annoyed by it.
Yeah, yeah, and
And see, like, I didn't want to like address it too much, but at the same time, I will say this: that is the problem with a lot of quote unquote wrestling fans. They will wait by like airports, or they will get any opportunity to like just harass these wrestlers that are simply just trying to like get somewhere real
I was
quick,
gonna say
find out what they need to do
it
for
was
the
cool
day or
because
whatever.
it was also cool too because you had Austin and Colton Gunn, the
Yep.
ass boys, and then people started
People
chanting
outside it started
ass
chanting
boys
ass boys at him.
at him. Um, it's kind of crazy how much Colton looks exactly like his dad because seeing him I was like, holy crap, he looks
Yeah.
exactly like Billy Gunn, back in the day, and Um, and rightfully so, because he's Billy Gunn's firstborn son. He's actually older than Austin is.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, that's right.
but
He is.
yeah,
Forgot about that.
ultimately, El Phantasmo does beat Stu Grayson here in the 0 hour. Um, I don't want to like take up a whole lot of time with this. I
Yeah,
know there's a lot to talk about.
yeah,
But we're going to talk about our last match on the 0 hour. We got Los Ingobernables de
yes,
Japan
yes.
against
Hiromu Takahashi, Shingo Takagi, and Bushi.
and then we got also United Empires Jeff Cobb,
Yep.
Kyle Fletcher, and
Shockingly
somebody
enough.
you may know if you
Oh
are a
yeah.
big WWE
Oh
fan.
yeah.
Impact Wrestling. We've talked about
Yep.
him before on our show.
Yep.
TJP.
I I I I know he doesn't do it anymore, but I gotta do it for the
But I tell you what, man, this was pretty good. It was cool to see TJP
TJP.
compete. Jeff Cobb and Kyle Fletcher. The two couple times that we saw Jeff Cobb, he did not do Tour of
Tour
the
of the Islands.
Islands at
Yeah.
all. I was
We did not
shocked.
get to see Tour of the Islands,
No, we did not, and it's sad.
unfortunately.
No, it is really. It does suck. I guess this was an all right kind of match for the last match of the 0 hour. I do think that the Mogul Embassy Chaos and that El Desperado, that match itself really like
It kind of
started
made the
off with a
fan
bang.
like it kind of gave everybody like a good look at like, oh hey, tune into the 0 hour because like just it basically was a good way to like make the fans like really excited about what's yet to come.
Right. But yeah, honestly, Jeff Cobb, Kyle Fletcher, great competitors. There was TJP, LHA. I tell you what, man, they definitely brought it in itself, and ultimately do get the victory here in the final match of the 0 hour. Um, and then comes on the main show.
Yes,
Um, it was
the
stated that
very first match.
the only way that MJF would take this match against Hiroshi Tanahashi for the AEW World Championship if it started tonight, and it did start off the night. Yeah, it did feel weird that the AEW World Championship was defended the very
First,
first match of the night, especially with it being an AEW, um, primarily an AEW show, even though it's also a New Japan show as well. Um, but man, the Ace, MJF,
mm-hmm.
um, it felt honestly odd to see MJF compete for the very first time
Yeah, we've only
live.
ever seen him in like segments and stuff. Because when he was in Buffalo, he didn't
It's
wrestle.
also sad too because this is what his fourth or fifth title defense in like over 200 days of
Yeah,
being champion. It really is sad.
but
Um,
think about it. I mean, he's a heel. He picks out his days. He only defends it on pay-per-views and certain dynamites.
right, that's true too. But yes, Hiroshi Tanahashi, man. Um, he's the ace for a reason. He's trying as much as he could. Um, he had his hair up. He definitely,
He has the best hair in the business.
he
Well, maybe not the business itself, maybe in New Japan, but he
right.
has the best hair.
He does.
He
I
has
mean,
some great hair.
he does have
Great
some
flowing
great.
hair.
Yes, he was trying as much as he could to get the high fly flow.
Yeah, I know.
MJF was trying everything he could in this
I
match.
tell you what, though, he was able to hit it on Collision against Swerve Strickland.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure he beat Swerve.
yeah, I think so too. I don't think Swerve got the victory. I think it was Hiroshi Tanahashi, but well, he uh,
Either way,
either way, MJF, you know,
I tell
he
you one
just
man
he couldn't beat the Ace just off of pure strength and
and
wrestling
Will.
skill
Yeah,
alone. Um, he did have a little bit of help itself. Um,
I tell you what though, seeing that match live, did not change my perspective on how horrible of a referee Bryce Remsburg is.
Yeah, Bryce, you screwed the fuck out of Tanahashi here
I was
because,
even trying to get that chant going of "You screwed Tana," but
you know, because it allowed MGF to get the Dynamite Dozen
yep,
ring.
Dynamite Diamond Ring.
Yeah, the Diamond ring. And I think he also inadvertently like low blowed or something like that to Tanahashi. I can't
I
exactly.
think it was an eye poke,
It probably was. Um, MJF had to
but
put
maybe
all
it
the
was a
stops on
groin.
Tanahashi. Tanahashi had to put all the stops on MJF. I mean, this probably could have been a better match in itself because you didn't get to see too much of like why they call him the ace of pro wrestling. I mean, this guy's a multiple time.
IWGP champion.
I think he's the only 8-time IWGP World Heavyweight Champion too.
Is that how many times he's won it?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's what they were saying.
I mean, I know he held the title a lot, but
But no, unfortunately, Hiroshi Tanahashi could not add another world championship to his moniker of achievements that he has had in his career, as MGF does beat Hiroshi Tanahashi, but not clean.
yep.
He had to use dirty tactics in the Diamond Ring to retain the AEW World Championship. But mind you, that does not exactly
Rule out a
rule out
rematch
a rematch between
between
Adam
Tanahashi.
Cole
Oh,
and
I was gonna
MJF.
say,
And I know there's reports out there
well,
that it's supposed to
that
be CM
too,
Punk that's
but
supposed to eventually, probably get the title that he never lost, which could be very well possible that could happen at All in London. Which um,
I don't know that it's been
I wouldn't
confirmed or
say
not.
this.
It might have been.
I'm hoping not. I say save it for All Out.
At this point, yeah.
Have All In be possibly Adam Cole, and I
If he's
say
okay
I'm sure he
by
will be.
then.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
I
an
don't know what
illness.
kind of illness he has, but I mean,
I don't know exactly either. Probably some cold or something like that.
I just thought about this. He might possibly have COVID.
I think that's probably what it was.
In that case, he would be out for 2 weeks. Or no, actually, he would only be out for
At least
a
a
week
week.
tops.
Yeah,
At
exactly.
least a week
Yeah.
tops.
Um,
In which case, yeah, he would have missed Forbidden Door. He might miss Dynamite. Maybe he'll be back for
because
Collision.
and then if it does get into All Out, September 2nd, which is in Chicago, Illinois, and it's kind of weird. I know people are like, All Out, like what's going on here? Yeah, so they are going to have August 27th in
August
London for All
27th,
In, and
September
literally like
3rd.
I thought, isn't it September 2nd or something
No,
like?
September 2nd is Collision. September 3rd is All Out.
Yeah, and then literally the next week
Yeah, within a week from
is All Out, and I
Chicago.
know people, you see it in like it just seems very odd. Personally, I don't think you should have a pay per view like literally two like kind of pay per view esque events back to back from there because then you have to book for All In and then you have to book for All Out. It's gonna be a little much. I think you should have just scrapped All Out and just had All In as your pay per view for that time. I get it. All In's a different kind of event than All Out. All Out is the next pay per view and it always will be.
Yeah,
The AEW pay per view is All Out, and then you have that's the last one of this year, and then you have Revolution next year, usually March April time frame. But I don't know. It just seems weird. I think personally you should have Adam Cole face off against MJF at All In instead of having possibly rumors being CM Punk. I say save that match for All Out.
Yeah.
because you know
It's the
it's
bigger
well,
stage.
one,
It's
it's
the
in
bigger. Yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah.
It's a bigger story ahead into that. These two men have faced each other before, but not for the championship. Um, so I say, what better way to write it where it's MJF against CM Punk for the world title? And personally, um, if that's going to be the case, who would you have to give the title to possibly? CM Punk or have MJF retain? Because
Have
like
MJF retain.
because if he beats Adam Cole and All In and beats CM Punk at All Out, then who's next after that? Like that's the tough thing.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point, but
That's why I think you would just have to have him drop the title to CM Punk at All Out. To be honest with you, because there's so much more that CM Punk can face opponent wise for the title if you think about it
yeah, but
that
I
he has not
mean,
faced off against before.
I just don't know that Tony really wants that like kind of bad press on him with CM Punk being a world champion again, and especially knowing Punk's reputation. Like I said, I don't know necessarily that they would want to like do that.
But ultimately, we're gonna get
But
back on track here.
and speaking of CM
Yeah, I was
Punk,
gonna say, speaking of CM Punk, man, that dude was a total enemy in
well,
in Canada.
I
I think there was a
people
lot.
had a very mixed reaction,
Let me tell you something. Yes,
but
it
there
was
were more
mixed,
boos.
but there was a hell of a lot more boos for Forbidden Door than there was for Collision.
Yeah,
Collision, it was split like 50
split
50.
very yeah.
This for Forbidden Door was more so 80, like 90 10. Like 90% boos, 10%
Oh yeah,
going for CM Punk. Because I did not hear a whole lot of CM Punk chants for Forbidden Door. It was a lot more boos.
yeah.
Um, this man just loves to be hated. I tell you, he does not give a fuck at all. And sorry for my language, but he's dropping the
Oh
leg.
yeah, he's doing the big boot and dropping the leg like Hogan
You know what?
because of what
I'm
Eric
sorry.
Bischoff
If
said
you
about him.
really want to add even more, he should have done the sharpshooter too. Oh my
I
god.
didn't even think about that.
Yo, he would have got so much
He
heat.
would have gotten like
I know.
nuclear
I
heat.
know. I mean, you know, you know what would have been
I
hilarious?
feel like
What
he
if
had.
I mean I get it, we haven't gotten that far in the card, but what if Will Ospreay did a Canadian Destroyer to Kenny
Oh,
Omega? Man,
well,
talk
okay.
about
You know,
some
it's
heat.
funny. It's funny you mention that too because, and we're kind of going along, skipping along a little bit, but I now know why people chanted "You sick fuck" at Will
Yeah,
Ospreay
he
when
licked
he.
his blood.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when he did the crossface. It was the weekend of when Benoit.
Oh,
That's why people
hmm.
chanted that.
But ultimately, we're gonna go on with this match. Yeah, CM Punk. Uh, well, originally they were gonna try to get
Kenta,
Kenta. It'd be the battle of the go to sleep,
but ultimately Kenta bitched out.
and didn't want the match with CM Punk, and rightfully so. I get it. CM Punk's reputation. He doesn't want to
Well,
have to
that,
deal with
but I
that.
think basically what it was is Kenta felt that he wasn't offered enough money to take the match on, which I don't know how much money Kenta would have needed for this match, but
I
it's a
hate to
big
say it.
money match.
I hate
I
to.
don't care
I know.
which way you split it. It's a big money match, regardless of how you look at it. Kenta versus CM Punk, Battle of the Go to Sleep. It writes itself.
Right.
How do you not take on a match like that?
I
What
don't
the
know.
hell, Kenta?
I mean, ultimately, yeah, CM Punk does get another guy. He gets
Satoshi Kojima,
Kojima instead, and
the
Kojima.
first person in, I think, history to hold both the Pro Wrestling Noah Triple Crown Championship and the IWGP Heavyweight title at the same time.
Oh, I mean, CM Punk was trying everything he can to be hated, to be booed in this match. He just didn't care. He was playing into it.
I'll tell you one thing that we got for sure that happened. Satoshi Kojima did the machine gun chops.
Yeah, I was hoping that Eddie Kingston was going to do that. Of course,
As a tribute kind of thing. I mean,
no, because he always does the machine gun chops.
Oh, that's
just
true
his
too, yeah.
thing. But yeah, I really do think that Kojima, was doing everything that he could. People were more on his side than Punk's side. Every time he was beating the living crap out of CM Punk, people were cheering.
People started, yeah.
But
CM
I
Punk
just
just loves
knew
me.
in itself, because of it being the Owen Hart tournament, I'm like, you gotta have Punk, continue on. Kojima was kind of just
I was
there
gonna
as
say
like
it doesn't make a lot of sense for Kojima
kind of like
to
it probably as a
advance.
last minute type of person for CM Punk, and ultimately, I'm grateful that CM Punk won. I'm willing to give him another chance, and I know I could probably get a lot of flack, a lot of hate on here saying it. I get it. This is technically his third go in professional wrestling. This is his last chance to really prove, he can still do it and go out there and, right his wrongs. I get it. He's got a bad attitude and
He has a very bad reputation.
a
I
bad
get it.
reputation, but it's just his character. He's had this character ever since his early days, and he just plays the bad guy so well. And that's what he's doing his job when people are booing him for the stuff that he's doing. He just plays a heel so naturally well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
don't tell heels that, because
Oh
they
yeah.
will fucking block you. They'll hate on you. They'll just
Yeah.
be like,
Here's looking at you, Bully Ray.
so do not tell them that they're doing a good job as a heel. It just, he's doing his job when people are booing him and hating him and everything. He's doing his job, but ultimately he gets the what was the Anaconda Vice that he beat Kojima with, right? Or was it the Go to Sleep?
I think it was to go to sleep.
Well, yes. Ultimately, he gets the Go to
He
Sleep
did hit the he did slap on the Anaconda Vice in the match, but I don't think it's what finished
and
the
beats
match.
Satoshi Kojima to move on to the semifinals of the Owen Hart tournament. Of course, a lot more of those matches are going to be
On Collision.
Collision. It's still
All
gonna be
three of
Saturday,
those, yes.
but it's gonna be live on Thursday because of Canada Day on.
Canada
So happy Canada Day to all the Canadians that are watching on our show. Hopefully you'll have a great July 1st for Canada Day. Um, so we're gonna get on to our next match here. This was a good match in itself. The way that it was starting, man, the four of them in the ring. You got Orange Cassidy doing his little kicks to all three
Oh
other
yeah.
men, and then gets the leg, and they're passing it along. I was highly sports entertained during that
Yeah.
moment. Um,
Although the one thing that stuck out in the match
but let
was
me tell you something: Zack Sabre
I was about
Jr.'s
to
joint
yes.
manipulation in that
Well
match.
that but like also DSJ and Shibata just going at it. Meanwhile, Daniel Garcia's trying to get in there. They're just like
Yeah, they're just pushing him
shoving
away.
him away with like uppercuts and everything, and like Zack and it's not phasing either Zack Sabre Jr. or Shibata one bit because they're still beating the shit out of each other. And Daniel Garcia, and also Daniel Garcia was doing his
His little dance.
yeah.
Man, he got to do that.
He did the he wasn't doing it like this. He was doing it like this. So it's like okay. I mean,
And then
if that's the
we
new
got a couple, you're a wrestler chants,
yeah.
and then I was shocked that we didn't have any freshly squeezed chants. Like, come on now,
There were a few.
we didn't even have any Sack Saber. I think there was actually a few of those. Oh, Sack Zack Sabre Jr., Chance, and Shibata, but
Mm.
never really any freshly squeezed, and I'm shocked. We did have the moments during, the kicks that he was doing and whatnot. Um,
No, they were there in the beginning
what?
when
Yeah,
he
no,
started the
I
match.
said we had a couple of
Oh,
moments
okay, yeah.
during that, but ultimately, man, Orange Cassidy, um, yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. and his joint manipulation. I mean, on Orange Cassidy, it was just insane. Orange Cassidy, how much more can he take before like his body just gonna give up on him and these title defenses? Because he is just broken down and getting beaten down, and he's wearing a tape, and he's trying as much as he can to really continue in these matches. Um, ultimately, it looks like Zack Sabre Jr. just wants a one-on-one opportunity with Orange Cassidy. It would be cool to see, but maybe if Orange Cassidy's still champion by next year, maybe we could have just those two, Orange Cassidy and Zack Sabre Jr. Ultimately, I would love to see um, Bryan Danielson against Zack Sabre Jr. That match we kept on getting robbed of. Of course, we'll talk about that main event match later on, but ultimately, after everything is said and done, um, yeah, actually, Shibata did the penalty kick on
Oh yes, the finish. He did the PK on Daniel Garcia,
and
and
Orange
he was
Cassidy threw
and yep,
Shibata out of the
threw
ring,
Shibata out of the
got the
ring.
1, 2, 3,
He,
and retain. I mean, ultimately, I still think that he
ultimate
could have done. I
opportunist.
think he could have done Orange Punch and gotten the victory. But hey, it's a fatal 4-way match. You got to take opportunities when
Ultimate opportunist Orange Cassidy.
you got to take your opportunity when it's there and presented to you.
Yeah.
And honestly, he went in there, took advantage of the fatal 4-way match. Even though Daniel Garcia did, I think, use a pure wrestling championship, and it was
Yep.
totally
Yeah.
legal. He was
It
able to
was
do it.
legal. It's a fatal four way. There's no disqualifications. It's absolutely 100% legal.
But yeah, Orange Cassidy did steal the win, and honestly, rightfully so. You got to
You
anything
got
you
to do
can
what you got to
do.
do.
Yeah, anything you got to do what you got to do to retain your title, and that's exactly what he did. And ultimately, I am happy that Orange Cassidy retained. Would have been okay with either one of the three winning it, possibly. I definitely wouldn't want to see Daniel Garcia, even though Garcia is probably going to wrestle Shibata yet again in a pure wrestling title match. Like we haven't seen that before for the
Yeah.
umpteenth freaking time. I like ROH. I'm gonna ultimately say it now. I am not gonna watch Death Before Dishonor July 21st. I know that's bad for me to say, but ultimately, if you're gonna make it like it's a, um, you know,
I look at it this way. I'm going to see what they have announced for the card and just kind of go from there.
I mean, we
But
may or may not watch it depending on what it is. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like that's gonna be a possibility. Um, but with this said, we're gonna get on to our next match. It is the
oh yes.
IWGP World Title match between Sonata and Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Well, here's the one thing that stood out in this in that match. Red shoes.
Yes, red shoes.
He was over, by the way.
Yeah,
People started
everybody's
chanting, "We
we love
love
red
red
shoes,
shoes."
and he bowed and he acknowledged.
He was like, "Are you talking about me?" He was like, "Me? Over these guys?" He was like, "Oh, thank you, thank you." You
I
know,
know it seems like it seemed like people were more about red shoes than the actual men in the ring. Sonata and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. I mean, Jungle Boy Jack Perry was trying everything he could in this match to really put himself over. I think the guy in the crowd was right. I mean, these are guys that are based off of like high moments, and
high spots. There weren't a lot of high
there
spots.
really wasn't a lot of that in this match. I mean, Jungle Boy, I noticed his trunks right away, and I will talk about that. If you noticed his
He
trunks,
wore
he
very dark
was
red
wearing the
trunks.
black and red trunks and
Yeah,
not his traditional trunks, which already kind of gave me the thing like, if gonna turn, you should probably just still be wearing your normal trunks, because then nobody's gonna suspect anything of it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Sonata does retain. Jungle Boy Jack
Yeah,
Perry,
he won
as
off a
much
moonsault.
as, yeah, he won off a moonsault, which, if you're gonna be any, but if you're gonna be be a credible like guy moving forward, especially as a heel, losing to a freaking moonsault is definitely not the way to start off your
Yeah.
your turn. But yes, Hook was by Jungle Boy's side. They were going up the ramp, and that's when the real fun began. Hook
Yeah, because
turned,
basically,
or I
or
mean,
Jungle
Jungle Boy
Boy.
turned on Hook.
Yeah, because they were Hook raised Jungle Boy's hand and everything. Next thing you know, Jungle Boy just blindsided him with a clothesline.
And it looked
So,
like Jungle Boy was going to pick up the FTW and hold it up, but no, he just throws it at Hook. I don't know if
which
that
by the way,
signifies too much of
I
anything.
don't think so. But by the way, Danhausen took notice and he was like, Hook, just to rest assured, whatever. I need to make sure you are okay from Jangle Man Jack Jerry.
we need Hookhausen.
We need Hookhausen back. And even then, or somebody tweeted about that when the moment happened. He was like, they simply just said Danhausen would have never.
No, you would not have. Um,
And somebody also was like, oh, Danhausen would never do that because he's very nice, but he's also very evil.
yes. But we get on to the 5-on-5 tag team match between the BCC and the Elite. Um, well, it was more so like it was Tomohiro Ishii and Eddie Kingston and the Elite against the whole entire Blackpool Combat Club. Um, which
All with Takeshita,
I
which
guess the
he's
best
not.
moment of this match itself was just Eddie Kingston and John Moxley
Oh my
slapping each
god.
other. Everybody was going in, and
Everybody was doing their high spots on the outside. Meanwhile, Eddie Kingston and Moxley were just still chopping the hell out of each other.
I mean, you had I know, and you had the Young Bucks, doing everything that they do with the
Doing
super
their usual
cuts.
shtick and everything. Hangman did his. Yeah, there was a lot of action to like. You can't. It was one of those things of like, if you blink if you blink twice, you might miss something.
No, it was more so like guys were trying to get in and attack both John Moxley and Eddie Kingston, and they were beating them down, and then continues chopping each other. It just,
Oh
man, they
yeah,
were chopping
that
the living
happened too. Yep.
hell out of
Yeah.
each other, and then everybody was trying to
Um.
go in and then attack
Also,
them.
what happened in the match is Ishii got knocked the hell out by
Uh,
Takeshita
oh yeah, he did.
from a from an elbow to the face.
And then the young bucks are looking. It's like, oh shit, he looks like he's actually like knocked the hell out. It was like Takeshita. I mean, I think if he can, you know, it's sad that he's kind of playing that heel because he has so much promise as a
As
future
a
star in the
Yeah,
company, and now he's a heel, and it's like, what is he gonna be now? Is he gonna still be a star? Is he not gonna be a star? Is he gonna just play the devil's advocate as a BCC member? Um,
I don't know so much that he
Don
was doing,
Callis.
but
Um, of course, we'll talk about him, but well, he didn't really he wasn't involved in it with really with this match. He very well could have been, but he wasn't.
yeah,
But yes, cowboy shit, man. He was something else too. We could have had a buckshot lariat, but I don't think it actually hit at all. I think it was like got hit or something like that. There wasn't really too much action from Mr. Hangman on the page, but ultimately, after everything was said and done, Tomohiro Ishii, Eddie Kingston, and the Elite do beat the BCC.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's truly over with. Um, I think that Blood and Guts is supposed to be very soon,
Mm-hmm.
within the next like month or so. But I also normally think that these two men, the Elite and the BCC, are gonna be part of um
Are gonna be part of Blood and Guts.
are gonna be part of Blood and Guts. Even though I'm pretty sure the Black Bull Comic Club has been in Blood and Guts before.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because the last one was the inner circle was against the inner circle, and at that point it was when Eddie Kingston um, was
No,
teaming
I
with
think that was Anarchy in the Arena more so
no,
than
it
not.
was Blood and Guts.
Was it Blood and
It was
Guts?
Blood and Guts because it was the match that got uh, Santana injured, and then he's been like kind of like I
Oh,
don't
that's
even know
right.
what his like contract status is, but I know him and Ortiz ended up like
And then that was the one where like Sammy got like thrown off the
yep,
top of.
yep,
Yes, I do. Yes, you
through
know
the
what?
announce table or
Yeah,
through the timekeepers tables, I should say.
yeah, that is right. I do remember that. So
Yeah,
I
because
ultimately,
it was BCC, and I think it might have
well,
been
let me
before
tell you something. Eddie Kingston
Yuta had
is
joined.
not gonna be
But
unless it's gonna be 5-on-5. I think you can still have Blood and Guys as like 4-on-4, but ultimately it could be just 5-on-5.
well, I
Um,
mean, think about it because you can still have unless you'd have to ultimately probably replace Shota, but I mean,
no, and this is where I think that it could just be 4-on-4. I don't think you're gonna get a lot of those other guys. I think it's gonna be Hangman and the Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks against John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and
Takeshita.
Takeshita. I think it's gonna be 4-on-4. It could have been very well 5-on-5 if again if Danielson is
Yeah,
gonna be a part of it. Um,
which we will talk about why he wouldn't be a part of it.
but I tell you what, everybody was involved, heavily involved with the 5-on-5 match. This one itself, like everybody was really
Everybody was kind of like,
trying to get behind it. Willow Nightingale is one
but
hell of
that's another thing
of
too is
a
a lot of people were going to the bathroom during this match, which I mean it kind of gives the old trope of like, oh hey, it's the women's match, gotta pee.
yeah. But ultimately, I mean, Tony Storm and Willow Nightingale didn't have too bad of a match. I mean, Willow
It
Nightingale,
was an
there was
alright
a lot
match,
of Willow
yeah.
Nightingale chants. People were really getting behind her. She was getting fired up. She could get, dropping the things. She is gonna be probably a future world champion in this
In
company,
AEW at least, yeah,
even
because
though
she's
she is the
currently the
NJPW Strong Women's Champion
yeah.
right now. Um,
So there was that. At least there was the New Japan representation in that AEW match. In
right.
the AEW women's match, you had the NJPW representation in Willow as the strong women's champion. But
It was funny because they did throw in the spray can. Stephon
yep,
Smith saw it and was like, "You and
you
you, you're
get
out
out
of
of here.
here." So
Yep,
yeah, they were gone. And they were not happy about that. But yeah, and then Willow, fortunately, just couldn't get it done against Tony Storm, which I kind of figured that was probably going to be the case. It's just not Willow's time. She's had so many opportunities to go after the
to go
women's world
after
title and the
championships.
TPS championship. I get it. She is
Yeah,
currently a champion right now, but just not in AEW or ROH.
yeah.
It really does suck. I think Willow's time is going to be definitely coming and just not going to be now. She would also be another one that I would love to see win the tournament, if not Sky Blue. I think ultimately it should be Willow Nightingale for against Sky Blue in the
In the
finals.
final, yeah, but ultimately it's gonna be Sky Blue that wins the whole damn thing. But
Um,
I mean, yeah, I think that's
I
the
think,
more,
like I said,
you know,
I really do think that Willow's time is going to be coming, and just not now.
yeah.
Personally, I have no idea who could dethrones Toni Storm because she is just on a hell of a run as the
Yeah.
champion.
Well, it makes
It
you
is
wonder.
so damn sad because she goes to AEW and becomes a freaking star as the women's champion, but she couldn't do it in WWE whatsoever. I mean,
Because of Charlotte.
it's sad. She could have amounted to being a big
Well, that's another thing too.
star
She got humiliated during her time on the main roster in WWE because of the whole like pie thing. She felt disrespected in the company and basically walked out. Which I mean, when you get like pie thrown in your face and everything like that, I would feel disrespected too.
because Toni Storm is more of a wrestler
Wrestler.
than a sports entertainer. It just not meant for everybody. Um,
Yeah.
nobody wants to just do whatever they have to just to earn a paycheck from WWE and
Yeah.
be a sports entertainer. They want to be a fucking wrestler. They want to fucking wrestle. They don't want to deal with this bullshit games. Even though I get it, she's kind of like that with the Outcast, but Outcast they got it going on right now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man.
This
I,
next
I
match.
know we're almost to the hour mark, and I do apologize if it's going to be a little over, but man, this match is
Easily match of
also
the night.
it's also him holding up. Of course, the winner is going to be our whatever it's called. It's going to be our picture
Or
for
thumbnail.
the thumbnail for this episode. But I tell you what, man, they don't call him the cleaner. They don't call him the best bout machine for nothing. Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay literally was the best match of the night.
Yeah.
This match was like over 40, almost
Yeah. It was nearly 40 minutes long.
maybe like 45 or something like that. I mean, they had that 60-minute time limit. Personally, I think that with this being an IWGP title, it should have. Was it?
I
Was
think
there a
it
New
was a
Japan?
20-minute
Was
or
there
a
a
20-second count out. I think
Well,
so,
no,
but you
no, no,
just
no, no, no.
never.
I
What?
was there. No, there was not a New Japan ref. It should
No,
have
it was
been.
Paul Turner.
It should have been Red Shoes. This should have been also another Red Shoes.
If not Red Shoes, then the other one that they had for the LIJ and
Yeah, because
United
this
Empire
is
match.
this is basically a New Japan match, just at Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
For the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship. You should have had freaking Red Shoes or somebody like that. You only had Red Shoes for one match, and you know, and which one was that one? Yeah, see, Sonata and Jungle
Mm-hmm.
Boy, because that's an IWGP
Heavyweight
match.
title match. Yeah.
Um, and you also had the U.S. heavyweight title on the line. That should have also been another New Japan ref.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, you know.
But let me tell you something. Will Ospreay gave the revenge back to
Oh
Kenny
yeah,
Omega
dude, he
because,
dropped Omega on his freaking neck with a Tiger Driver 91.
and then also, what about getting the top of the announce table
Oh yeah,
thing and
basically,
bashing his head in it?
basically a callback to their match from Wrestle Kingdom 17, where Omega just bashed Osprey's head in to one of the Japanese tables and actually broke a hole through it. And it's also how we
That's
got
not,
the meme of here's Kenny.
and then also had it positioned by the ropes and then bashing his head in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Omega. What about Will Ospreay doing the one-winged angel and then Kenny Omega kicking out at one? That man was busted open after
everything that Will Ospreay had thrown his way.
Of course, Will Ospreay got busted open with the steps.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. Just kicking out of your own move after one with everything that Ospreay has thrown at you, just claim.
Kenny Omega's built different.
Yeah, and I mean these men were throwing everything at you. There was also Will Ospreay trying to do the Osprey cutter, and
The Os Cutter,
then
yep.
the Os cutter, and then the kick to the back of the head from Omega. I mean, these men, threw down the,
Yeah.
you got a fight forever chance. This is awesome.
This
Holy
is
shit,
wrestling.
chance. I mean, Omega. I mean, Will Osprey. I think had some crazy moves off the freaking top rope itself,
Yeah,
but
at one point during the match, he did the Os Cutter on the apron.
I tell you, and then I also had Omega doing the V trigger to the back of Omega off
Hmm.
of Osprey's neck and the outside. It was a great match, man. This match should have definitely been the main event, and I get it that Danielson and Okada is the bigger match because it's the best.
It's a dream
It's a
match.
dream match, but Osprey and Omega I think should have been, and it
Yeah.
was even
It's the
stated.
bigger
It was even
story.
stated in the media scrum that like Danielson didn't really want to go after Omega and Osprey, and honestly, rightfully so you should have probably had Danielson and Okada probably beforehand because Osprey and Omega would have been a better main event,
Oh,
especially with
absolutely.
the way that it was. Like it definitely had that main event feel. Like this
Yeah.
is probably, I hate to say it, no offense to the actual main event, but this is definitely our true main event. This
Yeah.
is our true main event. I get it. Position the last match is the night supposed to be is the actual technical main event, but no, this was definitely the fucking main event
Yeah.
of the night,
Yeah.
and you can't change my
This,
mind
well,
about it.
okay. It was your big money match.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. It definitely was. This is your big money
So,
match, and ultimately, Will Ospreay does get the one up on Kenny Omega to win the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship, and he's not called the Billy Go for nothing,
hmm.
and you know, and what is his solo like? New Japan like term. I know
Well,
Kenny is the cleaner and best bout machine, but
Will Ospreay is the aerial assassin. He always has been.
oh yeah, I
So,
can definitely see why they call him the aerial assassin. Just the way that he wrestles and moves around, high flyer and everything like that. It just, man, I tell you, this next match, it was cool. If you follow me on Facebook, or have me as a friend on Facebook, you got to see my picture of Sting and Chris Jericho in the ring
yep.
for the very first time. That was a hell of a moment, and um, there was also the moment where Sammy was doing his little move, and then
Oh, he was doing
Jericho was kind of clapping.
yeah.
But then you also got to see where all three of them got to be in the ring.
Yeah.
Sammy
Well,
started it. Then
you knew that
Chris Jericho was
Jericho was
doing,
gonna do it with Sammy,
and
but
then
then next thing you know, Minoru Suzuki
Suzuki
comes
goes in the
in.
ring. It was a great picture. There is actually a picture, from the
From the
AEW
show where
Facebook
oh
page.
wow, that's
Um,
funny.
and they do got the picture on there. I did see it. It was pretty cool. It was a cool moment too. But um, night you know, Naito and Suzuki was literally beating the crap out of each other. Then you had Sammy Guevara and I think
You know
Darby.
what's funny
Darby,
during the
I tell you,
match?
man, Darby was a freaking like cannibal in
Yeah,
that match, just throwing himself into the barricade, and we got that was just insane.
it's interesting because throughout that whole match, I don't think there was one time that we saw Tetsuya Naito hit Destino.
Naito was hardly even used in that match. Chris
Yeah,
Jericho
I
and
mean,
Sting were literally beating the living crap out of each other, and then we got to see, crowd loving the Scorpion
I think there's a reason
um,
why
Scorp
Naito wasn't
Death
featured match
Lock.
in the match. I've heard that apparently he doesn't like wrestling in America a lot,
Oh, okay, that's
so
understandable.
that could be why. I mean, that's just speculation on my part, but
Sting can still go. I wish we could have seen more out of Sting in this match, and I get it.
although there was one point in the match where Sammy like could have damn near killed Sting, so um Yeah,
Yeah.
because like he tried to hit a cutter or whatever, and I don't quite think Sting was ready for it or whatever. So Sting just kind of like rolled forward or whatever, and Sammy just like kind of like hit into him and like kind of made Sting like crumple underneath his own like weight or whatever. So yeah, it was just a really weird thing altogether. But ultimately, Sammy like checked up on Sting and basically was like, "Hey man, are you good? Like, please get up."
Yeah, and then Chris Jericho, got the code breaker in there, going for him. Sammy Guevara with the Spanish fly off the top rope, Spanish fly for
Yep.
the Spanish God to I think Darby Allin.
Yes.
Yes. So of course, you know we know about what Darby was saying about Sammy Guevara itself. So I think it's like if you're gonna stand by this man, I'm gonna beat your ass or something
Yes.
like that.
Yep.
Yeah, and he was saying that on Collision
Yeah,
too.
because he wasn't there for Collision, so that's why he ended up
He's like,
saying
if
that.
if you're gonna stand by, if you're gonna stand by him after this match, I'm gonna kick your ass. So I'm thinking there's definitely gonna be something like Dynamite with that, something with like we'll hear from Sammy Guevara if he's really gonna be staying with Chris Jericho or not. So I can see it being that way. But ultimately, yes, Sting Darby and Tetsuya
Tetsuya Naito.
Naito beat Minoru Suzuki, Sammy Guevara, and Chris Jericho. Um, don't get me wrong, this true main event match between Bryan Danielson and Kazuchika Okada was not, you
Well,
know,
here's the thing. Before we get into that, let's just talk about how the match, well, how the like entrances even happened. Brian Danielson
didn't that,
came out to the final countdown.
which, by the way, he was speaking in the media scrum. He didn't realize that that was going to be his theme song until hearing it the same day it was
The
playing.
same second that
And
like
apparently he was in some kind of mood beforehand, but it changed his mood after hearing the final countdown, which he said is probably just going to be a one-time thing because getting the licensing
yes,
for it
it is
is
very
very
expensive.
expensive.
Europe
Apparently,
knows their
well,
licensing rights.
unfortunately, it's not actually the band that has the
Well, I
licensing right.
know,
It's
but I
the
mean,
mastering
ultimately,
company
like
that
yeah,
they have to pay to get the licensing, but I'm sure it's not exactly cheap. Um, he's still gonna have his normal theme song, but it was cool to hear the final
yeah,
countdown for him, which he hasn't had since his ROH
yeah,
days. So it was definitely a cool feel. Okada, the Rainmaker with the fake money coming down. It was probably the Okada bucks.
yeah.
And no, that's
You
not
want to
looking
talk about business full of counterfeit bucks? There's another counterfeit buck right there in Rainmaker, CM Punk.
right. So ultimately, Okada and Danielson was a great match in itself. Brian Danielson
So
did
yeah,
unfortunately get hurt. I didn't
like
realize
it was
that
10 minutes
inadvertently when
in.
he was actually embracing the yes chance, which was
Yeah,
actually a pretty cool callback. And then I think he had like the running knee
yep.
afterwards.
Or I think he might have tried it, if I remember correctly.
Um, man, it was crazy because we even got to see the Rainmaker and then the
Yeah.
1-2 kick out from Danielson. Danielson, I mean,
Well, the one I will address that, and you know, do with it what you will, but there was a spot in the match where Brian Danielson like convulsed and it seemed like he was having a seizure in the middle of the ring, and it turned a lot of people off.
I get it,
So
and I'm not gonna go too much further in it. But
yeah,
then Okada picked him up, and then
Okada
Danielson,
basically said, "I don't care what your situation is. I'm still gonna kick your ass."
yeah, because he's the Rainmaker. He claims he's the best in the
Well,
world,
see,
but
that's the thing too is Okada is still in his run of fuck them kids.
so Okada unfortunately just couldn't get it done. He'll probably
Yeah,
still be the
so
second best in the world unless he
yeah,
can beat.
So that's another thing too. It was like it seemed like it was a bit of an abrupt finish, but like in a way, it kind of makes ultimate. It
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense
he made
now when
Okada
you
tap out.
realize. Well, just the sudden finish. Also, when you realize that Danielson fractured his arm like about 10 minutes
I
into the match.
guess that can make sense why you couldn't truly get it on Okada. I didn't. I was wondering. I was like, man, he's not able to get it truly in on him. It's like, I get, Okada's taller than him, but like, I guess now with hearing about the fractured arm and possibly being out 6 to 8 weeks, I guess it makes sense because you just couldn't, with the
Yeah,
fractured arm, you just couldn't get all of it over. You just couldn't really ultimately get that. Um, that if that's the case, then just do the running knee 1, 2, 3. Just tell Ralph like, hey,
yeah.
I think I fractured my arm. They could change
I'm
the. They
sure
could
he was
change the. They
communicating
could
with.
change the ending of the match as long as you still get to the same result. I
Yeah,
mean, they do it all the time. There's always like changes on the
they
fly,
gotta. Yeah, I was gonna say
depending if there's like
if
injuries or
there's
not.
an injury or something happened, then you gotta book on the fly. I mean, look at Ruby Soho with when Brie Bella inadvertently knocked out Liv Morgan. The rest of that match, Ruby Riot at the time, Ruby Soho, called the entire match on the fly. It just goes to show you also the experience that Ruby Soho had to be able to call the rest of the match on the fly.
Right, but yes, ultimately Brian Danielson does get the win.
He
Um,
can officially claim to be the best in the world now.
and let me tell you something. This is not where we're
It's
gonna
probably
end
going to
it right
rub
here.
CM Punk the wrong way.
I it sucks. I honestly I would love to still see him on Dynamite, and I get it now. You can't, he'll
He's
probably
a
just
collision
make
guy.
it. No, what Danielson is?
No, CM Punk, I'm
Oh, I know
talking
he's a
about.
collision guy.
I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm a collision guy.
No, but I still would like to for Danielson to be like
Oh, to
claiming
like
it.
show up on collision?
Or no, not show up on Collision, but show up on
What are you getting
Dynamite.
at?
I would think that I would love to see Danielson show up on Dynamite talking about winning and being the best in the world, and somehow like I don't know, um, it leading to something between CM Punk and Brian Danielson. Honestly,
We have yet to see it in an AEW ring,
I
anyways.
would love for those two to maybe face off at All In, and then whoever wins can be at the actual true like be like, called the best in the world or something like that. Because it kind of writes itself. Because CM Punk is always going to claim he's the best in the world, and was in WWE, he still kind of thinks he's the best in the world in AEW and stuff like that. So personally,
Hmm.
I think it would write itself for that match. But congratulations to Brian Danielson. Please heal up and
Yeah,
take the time to rest and heal your body and
yeah.
whatnot. Ultimately it was from I think they said that I think he said the elbow drop. I didn't know if he actually landed right on his arm for the elbow drop.
I don't know how that would fracture his arm,
It was probably just a
but I mean,
weird positioning and it was just enough force to
probably.
probably fracture his arm, which kind of
Mm,
sucks. I mean, yeah, I mean, shit. I guess they're not kidding when they say strong style for these Japanese guys.
yeah.
Ultimately, I mean, I know, bad joke, but hey,
Mm,
ultimately, this is going to conclude this episode. It's no final bell. I do apologize. It was a little bit longer, about the same amount of length for last show, but please make sure to follow us on social media at Tinkle Sports. Make sure to follow us on at uh, Tinkle Sports Entertainment on YouTube. We'll try to have this episode on both Facebook Watch and YouTube. I know we said that about Facebook Watch for last episode. We do
that's my
apologize,
bad,
but we'll make
man.
sure that we'll have it both on YouTube and Facebook Watch at Wednesday. Of course, we don't have we have this show every Wednesday, typically every Wednesday at 5. Sunday morning Tinkle at 9 a.m. Very soon, our last episode will be June 2nd. So after that, we'll be on a little bit of a hiatus until August, towards the beginning of the NFL season, and then we have Out of Turn 4 until that goes, from now until when that goes on hiatus when the NASCAR season's done and over with. So, as always, everyone, um, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everyone.